Happy Friday, traders and investors. It's Rod with POW Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth for a daily market recap. Today's a recap for Friday, June 18th. And going to run through today's video a little quicker today as it is the weekend. But as the topic of the day, we're going to be discussing Mountain Valley MD Holdings stock. So we'll look at the chart here and some detailed analysis on MVMD. But before we do, we'll do what we normally do when we go through some news and events, and then we'll look at the broader market. I'll put some timestamps in the description below as well, but we are seeing some major red flags and warnings on MVMD. So we'll go over that here in just a moment. But before we do, make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. So the Dow drops 400 points, extending losses in the worst week since January. And MVMD stock held up relatively well, given the weakness in the broader market. Also, Fed's Jim Bullard sees first interest rate hike coming as soon as 2022. I would agree with that, as the Fed has said they weren't even thinking about it. And then recently they said 2 more rate hikes potentially in 2023. And as we know, they said they weren't working on a digital dollar either. And then we found out that this summer they're going to be showing some more initiative towards that. So I could see one more push into the end of the year. And also the global bull market will run through 2021 with only small pullbacks. Ned Davis research predicts. So I am in agreement with that. And that's what we've been saying on this channel for a while now. I think Bitcoin is still in a bull cycle as well. And we could be targeting 100K. And also we could see, because of these reopening and lifting of restrictions, that's going to create some euphoria, I think, in the markets. And we could run one major leg up and then see the bear market begin. If we look at the dot-com bubble, it took about 4 years from the peak of that RSI. So when we have that relative strength index peak in 1996, it took about 4 years for the bear market to occur. So we peaked in 2018 in the S&P 500. So it's now going on 3-4 years. So the same could potentially happen. Again, history doesn't always repeat, but it rhymes. So Alberta will become the first province to drop all major COVID restrictions. So that was some positive news, and some not so positive news was the Canadian and US border will remain closed until July 21st. So they extended that, but I think this could be the end of that. Also, Goldman Sachs to offer Bitcoin futures trading in partnership with Galaxy Digital. And Bitcoin didn't really react to that, but the SEC omits cryptocurrency as well from its regulatory agenda in 2021. So another reason why I think Bitcoin has the green light to rally here into the end of the year. We are bearish at the moment. We had a 15-minute bear flag forming across the board, but pretty much everybody trying to negate it here with a decent bounce. And Bitcoin could be a weekly bear flag as well after topping out at EMA 26. And we have these previous resistance and tops here around 13 and 12,000. Which if we confirm this bear flag with a drop below 30,000, that's going to likely put us around that 13 to, somewhere below $20,000 all the way down to potentially $10,000. So we are seeing some major red flags on Bitcoin as well. If we take a look at the Bitcoin chart on the daily, we have a golden cross that is very close to doing so. So again, starting to see some major red flags on Bitcoin. We're also seeing some major red flags on SPY. We closed below the 10-week moving average. The MACD and stochastic are looking to cross bearish as well. So it's not looking good in terms of the broader market. But like I said, Bitcoin could see that weekly bear flag, and it's all about 30,000 from here, in my opinion, on SPY. So just want to highlight, so back in the dot-com bubble, we topped on the RSI here around 1996. And then we ran for 4 years before we saw the real bear market and huge, massive drop. So again, we peaked out in 2018, and I could see that being a similar case here. And we haven't consolidated on the monthly time frame now for 9 months. So if we do consolidate, I could see a pullback to this old resistance and this megaphone pattern. We also have the 10-month moving average and the 12 EMA there around 377. So I could absolutely see a pullback to around 380. But again, if we pull back to 380, that is just fine. We have no monthly high or low until 319. So what goes up must come down, but we will just anticipate healthy consolidation along the way. But we did have on the weekly time frame, we held that 12 period EMA. So we've been holding that. We haven't closed a single candle below it in a very, very long time. It's been 231 days since we closed below it. And if we were to close below EMA 26, that would be the first time since the March lows in 2020. So that would be concerning. But like I said, we could easily see a pullback, in my opinion, to around the 380 level. But we did have that rising wedge on the daily, and we weren't seeing any follow through on those bull breaks. And we had that falling wedge to be on the lookout for. And then we finally broke out of it. We lost 416.28 support, and we have a lack of support on the daily until 405.33. So we could be heading to daily oversold here, closing near the low, and we're down big here after hours as well at 413.90. So we're seeing a lot of bearish momentum. It's been a while since we had any real fear in the market. So definitely on high alert into next week. The dollar also gave us a huge clue with the daily cup and handle confirming and a big move on the daily. We will anticipate a pullback in the dollar and at least a daily higher low and a healthy consolidation pattern at some point here as we are touching overbought. But going to run through this a little quicker today. So QQQ daily inside bar didn't even consolidate on the daily today. So we're just right at all-time high territory. So QQQ leading the market once again. SMH semiconductor was a bit weaker today, but very, very similar to QQQ. They've both been strong, but SMH just a little bit weaker. Oil so didn't start daily consolidation today. Oil still holding EMA 12 on oil. So no major red flags here. The metals, so silver and gold closing near the lows, but trying to stop the bleeding after a brutal day yesterday. We do have support on gold at 1756. So expecting a potential bottom. We have support here on silver at 2571. So once we do bounce on the daily, we have a lack of resistance up until about 1905 on gold. So we'll be expecting a fairly decent bounce on the metals once it gets going. Financial sector was extremely weak today, and a lot of our sectors were at the low simultaneously, and that's what caused the huge weakness in SPY. But we do have a gap here at 35.99, and we have a gap there on SPY as well at 419.32. So a couple gaps to watch. If we do bounce next week, we need to be cautious of daily downtrends and lower highs on a lot of names, as a lot of names are already entering daily downtrends, with XLF being one of them. But XLF, huge bear volume there today, closing near the low. We have support at 34.42. But again, got to be interested in an XLF bounce at some point next week. We are hitting daily oversold here as well. So if we do see a gap down, we could get extreme, and we have a lack of resistance, about an 8% bounce on the financial sector. So taking a look at the MVMD chart. So we are back testing. We lost the EMA here on this pullback, and we closed below all of them on the daily and the 10-day moving average. But we are back testing this rising wedge that we broke out of last week. So if you tuned into our previous video, we mentioned that we had resistance at 80 cents. We said watch 60. If we get over 60 here off that bounce from 35 cents and break out of the falling wedge, falling wedge. So once we broke out of that, we got over 60. We had a huge move up to 79, which we mentioned was 80 cents was going to be resistance. So basically played out to a T. And now we're back testing this old resistance, trying to confirm support, but it's not the end of the world here. We are holding the, it's a weekly inside bar, and it's not the end of the world here at the moment on the daily time frame. Like we are holding up relatively well, considering the weakness in the overall broader market and the massive drop on SPY. But we are concerned here with this massive red flag warning that we could see a death cross of the 50 and the 200 moving average. So again, just like Bitcoin, just like SPY, we're starting to flash some major red flags. We topped out right at the 10-week moving average as well. So again, that's why I mentioned to watch 80 cents. We do have a bull cross here on the stochastic, but MACD still has a lot of work to do. And we also had the 50 weekly moving average there at 60. So another reason why I said watch 60. If we get over 60, expecting a move to 80 cents. Sure enough, topped out at 79, and we closed below that here on the weekly. So we still remain bearish at the moment, and we topped out. We failed to get over the 50-day moving average on that bounce. And again, just could see a death cross and a lot more weakness. We also had the weekly VWAP there at 85 cents. So a lot of resistance in that area, and we still remain extremely bearish. I actually took some of my position off the table on this move up here, as we knew that we bounced 130%. So to see 130% bounce and then a 40% pullback is not uncommon, and something that I was watching out for. And again, because of that death cross, I unloaded a good chunk of that position. So I was averaging down, and then I scaled out into strength. That lowered my cost basis and was able to profit on that position. And like I said, just looking to reload cheaper, but we could see a tightening range into the next, few days and weeks where we see an equilibrium. At this point, we've seen a bit more of a pullback than we would like to see a daily bull flag. So it's favoring a tightening range, and we could be tightening up. Obviously, news can change that, bullish or bearish, but going to be watching to see if we break this weekly inside bar, bullish or bearish, into next week. All right, going to end it there. Make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. Actually, I do want to just run through the movers and shakers on the day today. So Ride, EHMU led the decline, and BlackBerry was also really weak today. Fiverr, Docu, and Roku led the bull list. All right, thanks for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth for a daily market recap, and we shall see you in the next one. Take care and have a fantastic weekend.